Welcome to the Pursuit of Prevention podcast. My name is Bailey French, a Purdue-trained nutritional scientist and nutrition counselor, and today you will walk away from this episode with some tools to help improve your health. Because around here, we believe that you are not defined by your family health history. You can enhance your DNA and leave a new legacy of wellness for your family. If you are ready to take control of your health and win back the confidence that comes from knowing that each day you are preventing the illnesses that run in your family, you've come to the right place. Let's get started. Back to the podcast. Today is going to be a lot of fun. You guys submitted questions to me, either through a DM a long time ago or on a questions poll that I posted earlier this week. But lots of you had lots of questions specifically pertaining to investing in a coach, especially a health coach, nutrition coach, fitness coach, anything of that nature. And there were three main kind of concerns that came up. So today is an answering your questions episode, part 1 of 2. Today we're going to cover those concerns that you guys have, and really the value of this is that you are going to be really clear on why some of these concerns may actually be just not necessarily truthful or fact-based. We all have different biases, and that's what makes us unique and different and gives us a different perspective, which is truly one of the most valuable things, in my opinion. There's no way that we can grow as people if we are not encountering different perspectives and different points of view. So it's incredibly important, but we're just going to run through really the skinny on your 3 most asked questions. The next Answering Your Questions podcast episode is going to be your nutrition questions, things like hormonal acne, which specific foods help inflammation, are nightshades inflammatory, things of that nature. Today, this seems really urgent to you, especially in the questions box that was posted. So your 3 most commonly asked questions about working with a coach on your health is, number 1, they're not a doctor, so maybe they're not entirely qualified. Number 2, you might feel a little bit scared about the accountability that comes with working with someone. And then number 3, a lot of you are wondering, what is the guarantee? I'm maybe paying out of pocket for this. Is there a guarantee? I've done lots of different things before and they all did not work and I'm still in the same place. So what is different about this? Why is it worth it? Okay, so let's just off the bat dive in. Now, a lot of you asked these questions because you want to invest in a food fight. The fall cohort for food fights is open. We start on September 26th. So if you're listening before the 26th, you still have time to get in for this cohort. And a lot of you are really just wondering, this seems great, but it almost seems like too good to be true, right? And most of you want to know about the accountability and the guarantee. Is this going to work for me? And what happens if it doesn't? But let's walk it back and start at number 1, because in order to invest in something, you have to trust somebody, right? You are going to get a second opinion if you go to the hospital and your doctor tells you that you have cancer and it feels a little sus. You maybe don't feel like you have cancer, you feel great, or your symptoms don't line up with what they're saying. You're probably going to go get a second opinion because you don't know this person, you don't trust this person, and you feel like maybe all of the options weren't explained to you. So the truth is, I am not a doctor. This degree right here behind me says that I am a nutritional scientist. I've taken those skills and put them into the title of nutrition counselor. What does that mean? I counsel you. We do both the physical and the mental, emotional side of food. So while I don't work with people that have eating disorders, what we do is kind of walk it back to your family history. What did you grow up believing about food? What did you grow up practicing when it came to food? Did you guys sit down at the dinner table and eat as a family? Was your mom always on the go and had, the MetaFast or the Slim Fast shakes in the bottom of the pantry? Did you grow up going to Weight Watchers meetings or seeing, different meal replacements or medicines in the fridge that your parent was taking for weight loss? These have a profound impact on your long-term health and your outlook on food. Now, tying into number 3 here, like what's the guarantee? I've tried all of these different things. That history of the lifestyle is really where it connects. If you were trained up in that way, you are likely going to hop from diet to diet. And when you don't see results, you're going to keep looking for the next best thing, potentially even ignoring some warning signs or ways that your body is feeling, simply searching for the next best thing or the next thing that's going to make you thinner. And if you've been around here for at least 1 minute, you know that skinny does not equal healthy. Some of the best lab work comes from people that are quote unquote overweight or obese on a BMI chart. So weight is not everything. While a healthy body weight for your stature, your structure is very important to your long-term health and how you're going to feel when you're 80 years old, it is not everything. So when we look at that like, no, trust factor, does it matter? Here's my question to you, answering a question with a question. Does it matter if the person is not a doctor, if they are listening to you, have the knowledge and expertise that is necessary for that situation, and actually care about your outcome? Do you feel like you are going to be just another paycheck to this person, just another member, just another subscription? Or do you feel like this person is actually invested in your care? Do you feel comfortable moving forward, or are you just doing it because it's the right thing to do? Nothing else has worked. This is the next step. So while yes, I admit I am not a doctor and I could certainly learn more about nutrition, about science. Science is always changing. Just this morning, I was talking to a friend about how science is not static. There's always new research coming out, and sometimes it might disprove what we may have taught people 5, 10, even 2 years ago. And that is the big difference here. Is your nutrition, fitness, medical professional willing to admit, hey, I know I told you this, but right now the research that's coming out is saying that that might not have been the actual right thing. Here's the new guideline. Here's how you can update. Here's how you can get on, a better track. If someone is not willing to admit that the new debunks the old or the new overrides the old, that is a huge red flag. What I want to say about not being a doctor is that there are lots of doctors that do not keep up with current research. So they don't even know that some of the practices or recommendations that they're giving are outdated. This isn't, of course, across the board. There are all different kinds of people in all different types of professions. And this is certainly not a one-size-fits-all situation. What I'm not saying is that all doctors are not trustworthy or all doctors are not doing the research. That's, of course, just not true. But there are some out there. You may have experienced some of these people. In the nutrition world, in the fitness world, if you are getting nutritional advice that comes back down to, calories in, calories out, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight and to be healthy, the science says that is not the entirety of the story. Sometimes it's not true. Sometimes in order to lose weight, you need to eat more, like significantly more. So if someone is not willing to admit that there's new, better information out there, that tells you that they are not truly invested in your care, in you getting better. They're investing in their own reputation. That is what matters to them. So that's a huge red flag. While I completely understand that title does matter in some cases, I am certainly not going to go get surgery on my leg from Bobby Joe that works at Starbucks. Title does matter a lot of times, and that's why this degree behind me matters so much. You can go see a quote unquote nutritionist that has no nutrition training, Maybe they went to nutrition school that was a 6-month course that gave them a piece of paper. Is that enough? Is that enough to know about your autoimmune disorder? Is that enough to know about how the cells in the gut are different from the cells in your shoulder? Is their training enough to help you? The reason that the word nutritionist is sometimes looked down on is because in a lot of states, anybody can be a nutritionist. You don't even have to have a 6-month piece of paper. You can say that you're a nutritionist. The reason that it's really important to find someone that is trustworthy with an actual educated background in nutrition, in fitness especially, is because it varies from state to state. So in the state of Virginia, the laws are completely different than the state of Maryland for who can call themselves a nutritionist. Same with Tennessee, California, Wyoming. Everybody has their own rule for who is allowed to be a nutritionist, but not every nutrition professional is a registered dietitian. So a registered dietitian has the qualification to work in a hospital setting. Personally, I knew that I didn't want to ever work in a hospital setting, so I didn't feel it necessary or compelling to go take the RD test and get that credential, pay for the licensing every year. This 4-year degree behind me gave me enough nutritional scientific education to be able to continue my education by reading the research that's coming out, by having that desire to continue to get better so that I can provide you with the most up-to-date, accurate information. So I'm not a doctor. If that's not your jam, that's okay. I'm not a registered dietitian. If you want to work with someone that is, that's okay. The title does matter, but what matters even more is you taking the time to vet your professional. Because maybe somebody did go through all that credentialing and they are a registered dietitian, but again, they're not admitting that there's new research coming out, that some of their recommendations may not have been up to date. They maybe are not invested in reading the research, in finding these new best ways. And maybe they're just taking a 10-year-old meal plan and sending it to you and saying, here you go, I'm making money off of this work that I've already done. And it's not actually tailored to what your body needs. This point here is not to degrade or talk down on any profession, any title, any person, really. It's simply to give you the comfort of knowing that you have the autonomy to make your own choice. You don't have to take a doctor's nutritional recommendation just because they're a doctor. If I'm being entirely honest, most doctors only ever have 10 hours, not 10 course hours, 10 hours, like less than one day of nutritional training in their entire medical career. So just because someone has that title doesn't necessarily mean that they are best suited to, give you that most accurate, up-to-date information. However, it is still very important that you not only feel comfortable, but you know for a fact, could be proven in a court of law, that the person you are working with is reputable, they are trustworthy, and they are giving you factual information, not just what they went and looked up on the internet. So from this point, we're actually going to jump to point number 3, which is what's the guarantee? My health insurance doesn't cover this, or I've tried everything. I tried what my doctor told me. It didn't work for me. What do I do now? Because 1 and 3 in this scenario are very closely tied together. You're not a doctor. What makes you the right person to work with is also the same concern as, how do I know this is going to work for me? Because when you go see your doctor, most of the time insurance covers it. You might have a small copay, but it's not really of any huge, potentially risk to you. When you go, you know that your visit's going to be covered, or you're going to have a small fee, and it's not going to be entirely out of pocket. So that risk is much lower than investing in something yourself. I get it. I am also really cognizant and mindful of how I spend my hard-earned money, right? You likely don't want to just throw your money at one more thing that might not work. Some places have a money-back guarantee. If you don't see results with their program, you get your money back in full, whatever, done. I have a different philosophy. If you are not achieving the results that you came in for, that we sat down and talked about, that's my fault. I did something wrong. I calculated something wrong. I didn't hear you correctly on something. If during our time working together, you are not seeing at least a few small wins, I'm doing something wrong. And so instead of giving you your money back, because I believe that your investment in your health is worth the monetary price, I'm going to work with you until you do achieve those results. I'm not going to cut you loose, give you your money back, and go spend it somewhere else on something else that doesn't work. There is something that I have missed, and that is my job to make right. So while I don't offer a money back guarantee for my nutrition coaching or for the Food Fights courses that are available now, what I do guarantee is that you will feel better. And if you don't, we will work together until you do. That is what matters to me. You've made this investment of money, time, energy, emotion into feeling better, and you will. Now, this is different for everybody, right? You are so unique that there is truly no way to tell if something is going to work for you specifically. What I do know is that the science we have available tells me what is likely to work. What I do know is that each and every program and course that I offer is customizable enough so that you can take the basic foundational scientific principles, apply them to your life in a way that works for you, and see results. I have been lucky enough to not experience yet someone who does not achieve results in the set time frame of what they purchased. Now, I don't say that to brag. I say that to demonstrate the level of commitment that is there. And again, this ties back to number one, because of the trustworthiness of your person. Do they not offer any guarantees? You enroll and you pay them, and then so sorry, so sad. Doesn't matter. You can't contact them. You don't have a direct line of contact to them. Trusting who you work with is so incredibly important. And I think that's why these two come up most often. You know, you're not a doctor. What credentials? Are you a registered dietitian? That's what we like to call a half thought out, or a, screenplay doubt or objection. There's really something deeper going on. You want to know what's the guarantee, what's in it for you. That's a natural human thing to want to know. And you kind of shade it off with, well, you're not really the credentialed person that I'm looking for, so I'm going to go find something else, because you just don't feel like you trust the person enough. And again, if that's how you feel, I have not done my job well. And that is my problem, right? So what's the guarantee? With me anyway, you are going to get what you paid for, and hopefully more. However long that takes is however long that takes. Because here's the situation. You've signed a contract. You have trusted me to lead you to those wins that you are looking for, not the wins that Susie Two Shoes over there wants, what you are specifically looking for. And if I can't help you customize each step in order to get there, I need to do some more work. So when it comes to a Food Fights course, that's the guarantee there. If you, in the 10 weeks that we work together, aren't experiencing what you thought you were going to, you and I are going to sit down, we're going to have a session, and we're going to talk about, what did I miss? What isn't working for you? Now, here's the flip side of that. If you did not come to any of the offered coachings, if you did not reach out and say, hey, I have something else come up, I'm not going to be able to make it tonight, can you send me the recording? If you do not engage, if you don't watch the trainings, then whose fault is that? I cannot take responsibility for the work that you do not do, which leads us into point number 2. You're afraid of being held accountable. I get it. It is scary to have someone watching what you're doing and tell you that you're not doing it well. What I can tell you is that that's not how accountability works in my business, in Food Fights specifically. The last 2 weeks of the program are specifically designed to focus and pivot around accountability. But the accountability is a different way than you've ever seen it before. You're not only leaning on me as the professional, you are leaning on the community of people that you're taking the course with. I teach you how to lean on the people in your life. And if they're not people you can lean on, I teach you how to potentially move out of that situation and find people that are people that you can lean on, because that is a huge piece. Remember that mental, emotional aspect we talked about earlier? It's a really big piece to your overall health. So there's a whole community of people cheering each other on, so that instead of feeling pressured and feeling like you're not doing good enough, on the reverse, you are always motivated, you are always encouraged, you always feel ready to go the extra distance, to do the next thing. So instead of feeling like you're being held to the flame a little bit, you're going to be welcomed into a nice cozy fireplace situation. Instead of me pushing you out into the wild and saying, here you go, figure it out, what you're going to do is you're going to come into a room, just like book club, on a cool, crisp autumn night. We're all going to sit around the fire with a nice little glass of hot apple cider, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about what your goals are, and I'm going to teach you how to get to those goals. You're going to take notes. We're going to chat. We're going to have a good time, and you're going to feel fired up. You're going to feel encouraged, motivated, and honestly ready to rock and get after those goals when you leave. Accountability it's a buzzword, right? Some people want the accountability, but some people have had quote unquote accountability and it wasn't what you were looking for in the slightest. Accountability can be effective and also warm and kind. It doesn't have to be, oh, you didn't hit your water goal for today, drink double tomorrow. Or, oh, you didn't run this mile in the time that you wanted to, go run 2 more laps. You didn't meet your goal. You're punished for it. You can have accountability with a side of grace. And truthfully, what I've found is that works best. Having the grace, the openness, the honesty, and again, that trust and like with your professional, medical, fitness, nutrition, whatever it might be. Also, let's take a little sidebar here to highlight that medical, nutrition, professional, those are 3 distinct and different categories of professionals, okay? Unless your fitness professional also has a nutrition degree, or your nutrition professional also has a fitness degree or certification, or your doctor has one of those 2. One should not be giving advice on the other, okay? I love fitness. I love to exercise. I'll share my workouts with you, but I'm not going to tell you that they're best for your body. I'm not going to tell you that I know exactly what's right and what's wrong. Sometimes I even do things wrong. And then I check in with my trainers and I'm like, ooh, that wasn't great. Let me edit and alter course, right? So that's incredibly important, that you're not getting all 3 from one person, because unless they have done years and years and years of research, which means they should be relatively older, they don't have the necessary, like we talked about earlier, they don't have the necessary knowledge and expertise to be able to give that type of information, okay? Unless they're staying up 24 hours a day and doing research, and which I don't think is possible. So anyway, maybe that's just a personal opinion, but it sounds a little bit unrealistic to me. So back to this conversation about accountability and grace. One should not come without the other, right? It's just like the square and the rectangle situation. Accountability works best when you are the one going after the goal, not when your coach or mentor or counselor is shoving you toward the goal. That's going to want to make you sit down. You are going to fly when you are in the right environment to thrive. And that is the environment that's created inside of a food fight. So hopefully this answered all of your questions. If you have more, if you were listening to this and now you're like, ooh, that makes a lot of sense, but now I have this question, drop them in a review or send me a message. My Instagram handle and email are in the show notes of this episode. That is an open line of communication always. If you have a question, a comment, any feedback on how the podcast can be better, or any topic that you want to hear specifically, or if you're ready to dive in, to join a food fight, to get one-on-one coaching, to refer a friend, those lines of communication are always open to you. And if you don't trust me, I want to know why. Reach out and let me know, like, hey, you said this, or, I just get this feeling because of this thing. Let me know. Honesty, openness, trust is so valuable, and it's gotten a little bit lost, which is where I believe most of these three concerns come from, is a place of that, distrust or honestly just missed connection. I hope this episode was helpful. If you are ready to get into a food fight, to have that accountability with a side of grace, to really have the foundational tools of your body, of nutrition, so that you can start to change your habits and then in the long run, really feel your best. Honestly, you can feel better than you ever have felt before. The link to join is in the show notes, or you can reach out to me to get matched to the program that is going to be the best fit for you. Just this morning, I had a friend reach out and fill out the Food Fight Fit Finder, and she was matched within 5 minutes. Now she is dead set and clear on which course is going to help her feel her best, cut off those extra couple of pounds, and really feel just lighter in her joints. She used to be on a cheer team with me, and so her joints are just not feeling great. So the inflammation course is the best option for her. Feeling your best is what you really want. That's why you're here. That's why you listen week after week. And food fights will start on September 26th. You must be signed up by next weekend, Friday, September 23rd. And if you sign up early, you will get to be a part of our all new opportunity for Launchpad, which is simply going to help you get set up more quickly so that as soon as your course starts, you are ready to rock and roll with the food that needs to be in the fridge, everything that needs to be in the pantry, and the mindset to help you get further faster. Thanks for tuning in for the very first ever episode of Answering Your Questions on the Pursuit of Prevention podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. It would mean the absolute world if you left us a review. There might be something in it for you as well. So if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, I would be so very grateful. So glad that you're just here listening and sharing with your friends and family. I love you. I will see you so very soon. We'll be back with some really exciting interviews here soon on some really fun topics that you guys have asked for. Thanks for hanging out today. I love you. Stay well. And I really hope that I get to see a couple of you in a food fight for fall cohort. My friend, it's your time. You are worth the investment. Let's go get after it. Thank you for being a part of this conversation today. By sharing with just one friend, you are not only showing the people that you love that you care about them, but you are helping this message that healthy does not have to be so hard reach hundreds of other people. Be sure to check out the show notes and visit www.bewellhwc.com for more information and to subscribe to the show so that you get notified every time there is a new episode available for you to learn more health tips and help you achieve your healthiest self. I cannot wait to sit down and chat with you again so soon. Until then, stay well.